Greetings, dear chess fans and experts. This is FIDE Master Max Omariev with you. Now we'll take a look at how Homer Simpson was coached by Magnus Carlsen and played some brilliant games. We'll break down with you the new Simpsons episode where Homer Simpson shocked everybody with his skill. The first game that was in this series, Homer Simpson played against Jasper Beardsley on the bench.
Hey, Blobby Fisher, you're up.
And Homer said he won due to the Budapest Gambit.
Another victim of the Budapest Gambit.
And this is what it looks like. d4, knight f6, c4, e5. This opening is actually rarely used for black these days, because here white has quite simple ways to get an advantage. And then we could see this final position, and here Homer Simpson stunned Mr. Beardsley with the move knight g3. He checkmated him this way.
Checkmate!
Pretty good game considering that Homer has trouble even pronouncing the names of the pieces. How did he learn to play this good anyway? Homer answered this question himself.
Homer, when did you learn to play chess?
The truth is, my dad and I used to play.
His dad didn't have much pedagogical skills, so he was pretty hard on Homer. Here's one of their first games.
We played every day after my mother left us, and he won every time. And every time he won, he laughed that horrible laugh.
It ended with a fool's mate. After f3, e5, Homer played g4 and got queen h4 mate. In this game, Homer confirmed his reputation of being not a very intelligent man. And his dad infuriated Homer with his nasty laughter, after which he began to practice chess seriously. He practiced every day from morning till night with his coach and eventually managed to get revenge on his father.
I went back to play my dad. We had a beautiful thing here, and you had to ruin it by getting good. No more chess in this house. But
Homer had given up chess until he played this game on the bench. After that, he began to crush everyone, and started giving simultaneous play sessions.
Homer, you're playing like Polagevsky at Mar del Plata.
Then Moe started finding out why Homer is so good at chess, and this is the nonsense he said.
Found out why you are so good at chess.
Go on.
Chess represents your desire to kill your father.
That's ridiculous!
After that, Homer decided to give up chess, but his wise wife found him a good coach.
I know I feel.
I'm world chess champion Magnus Carlsen.
I understand Norwegian!
Magnus Carlsen motivated Homer and he returned to chess. And by the way, it was actually Magnus Carlsen who dubbed the series in English and apparently got a good fee for it. And yet he contributed to the popularization of chess. Magnus Carlsen gave Homer very important advice. He must finish the final game with his father. And before he does that, Homer plays a game with his wife Marge. And this is the game we're now going to see. It also wasn't just made up. It was based off of the Richard Reti versus Saviely Tartakower game. He plays white. This is the Caro-Can defense. And here's an interesting variation. Queen d3 followed by e5. This is a very incorrect continuation. He should have played knight e4 and then after queen e4, say knight d7 and knight to f6. And after e5, de, queen a5. Saviely Tartakower sort of wins back the pawn on e5, and he even wins the knight on e4, but the whole point here is that Homer finds mate in 3 moves.
And that leads to mate in 3.
He plays queen d8. Indeed, this is a checkmate in 3 moves. The king d8 is followed by the bishop g5 and the bishop d8 mate. This is how Richard Reti's game against Saviely Tartakower ended. But Marge chose to give up after the queen d8. Also a wise decision because after king d8, bishop g5 on king e8, rook d8 mate. So Homer brilliantly beat his wife. Then it was time for the decisive game against his father Abraham. The game was based on the game of Mikhail Budvinnik against Saviely Tartakower. Let's watch it now because Magnus Carlsen himself commented on it live.
An excellent move by Homer. stout defense by Grandpa.
We had the ready opening in the beginning, but then it transformed into the Philidor defense. We can see that after the move e4. Here in general, the opponents played well, but at one point Saviely Tartakower made a grave mistake. He played g5, completely anti-positional move. He weakens his king, and now Botvinnik starts to attack him. In this case, Homer Simpson begins to attack his dad. Abe should have played c5, and after f4, here we can play knight g6 and then bishop f8. And here black has a very strong position. If we play f5, then knight e5, knight on e5 is an excellent position. In general, Homer Simpson's father has no problems. Alright, let me call the chess players the following way. Not Botvinnik and Tartakower, but Homer Simpson versus his dad Abraham. g5 plays Abe and gets f4. Correct decision, he attacks black's king. Homer plays brilliantly, attacks center in c5. He wants to play d6, so he must hit d5 to avoid getting a fork. Knight d5, queen c6. But if we capture d5, then after ed d6 threatens. Clearly this is a hopeless position for black, so Abraham plays queen c6, knight c4. The pawn on e5 hangs now. Knight g6 plays Abe, knight d6 is a very strong move from Homer Simpson. The point is that the rook hangs on e8, and potentially we want to just sacrifice the exchange on f6, so Homer Simpson's father plays bishop e6. If we go bishop d6, then we just have cd, and we capture f6. And here it's clear that with an extra piece, Homer will bring this game to victory somehow.
Anyone want to watch the Super Bowl?
Get lost!
But after the bishop e6 hits e7, and Homer sacrifices the exchange, rook captures f6.
Homer has a win in hand. He merely needs to take Grandpa's knight.
Oh, he's gonna be a new man, you hear me?
Can I go? It's like 4 a.m. for me.
Sure, fine. Who is that guy?
Magnus Carlsen, my cousin.
We have to accept this gift and play queen h5. The pawn hangs on h6 with checks, so the knight g6 plays Abe. Knight f5. Homer Simpson doesn't let black's king go anywhere. The knight f5 simply cuts out the king. Next follows queen h6, rook d1. Queen g5 check, king e6. You can see that black's king is simply in a bad position. There's also rook d8 followed, f6. But if we take the rook, then after queen d8, it's unclear how to defend against mate. Here knight g7 is threatening and there is practically no defense. In the case of f6, we can even play h4 with the idea of connecting the bishop on h3 and play h5. In general, here black king simply perishes and white has an extra piece, so it makes no sense to consider that. After f6, Homer Simpson plays the rook hits g8. He leaves his queen under the battle because after rook g6, white wins back the queen. So after knight f4, Homer Simpson hesitates. Homer plays the queen g7 and looks into his father's face and realizes that he's just suffering. At that moment, he makes a noble decision so that his father, God forbid, does not die of a heart attack. Homer decides to resign to please his father. That's how this fun game ended. Well, these were the highlights of this episode. It's a pretty interesting one. I encourage you to watch it, and I thank you for your attention. Hit the like if you enjoyed this video, and if you want me to take some similar analyses of games from movies or cartoons, subscribe to the channel not to miss new interesting videos, and also press the bell button. Also, check our Instagram and Telegram channel where we post fresh news from the world of chess. Keep on playing and studying chess, and I'll see you soon.
Listen, I gotta know, do you chess guys get groupies?
Homer, I wish you could stop. These Skypes aren't free.
Yes, they are.
I still don't want to talk to you.